Hello and welcome to Focus on Liberia. I'm Anthony here hosting in this evening edition of the Hour of Politics. Welcome to the broadcast. I know some of you were wondering how come this guy is dancing this song? It is a political song, and I'm in this business of talking politics. So I do it because it's my job. But that song is something that role President Weah to the power that he's occupying today. And 3 years later, I don't know how it is now about you, but Mr. Weah is here. He is the chief political analyst here at Focus on Liberia. He and myself usually don't agree on the issues. He is a sympathizer of the current government. He is also a supporter of President Weah. He said two things that got me thinking. He said President Weah deserves re-election. He didn't stop there. He said it will be a first round victory. And I'm wondering, how is that going to be possible? Folks, welcome to Focus on Liberia. At this time, let me welcome my guest. Today, he took off his hat as analyst. He's playing the role more like a surrogate for the president. Mr. Kuni, it's my pleasure having you. Welcome to the Hour of Politics.
Anthony, thank you. Thank you. I'm happy to be here. And I want to thank you for the very generous introduction, especially with regard to the role I will be playing here today. I know I got so many names. They call me the analyst. Some people call me the CDC papier. But the truth of the matter is, I am one of many, several thousands of Liberians that support the president of Liberia, who are not seditions. There are thousands and thousands of other Liberians that support the presidency of Mr. Weah. And we do strongly feel that, given the performance of the CDC government, he is the man to carry for 2023. And I'm happy to be here to make that case.
Thank you so very much. And we are also glad to have you to make the case because comes what may, we know for sure he might be running from what I'm hearing from you. And so we will really be looking at how President Weah has been doing so far, having been in power for 3 years, for which he should deserve re-election. Will the Liberian people give him another term, given how he has been performing so far? So let's get to it, Mr. Kone. My first question, President Weah has been in power now for 3 years. He wrote on this mantra of change. In your overall assessment, having been leading our country for 3 years, are the Liberian people better off today compared to 3 years ago?
The answer is a definite yes. Our country is better off than what it was 3 years ago. I know there will be some other people that may not notice the change that is taking place in the country. Because look, Asani, we all have to agree that our country has been in a very bad place. The country has been in a bad place in terms of development. The country has been in a bad place in terms of any metrics that you pick up, to the point where even if you are making progress, other people may not be seeing the progress. But if you look at what our country is today, if you look at efforts that are being made in education, if you look at efforts that are being made in road construction, infrastructure development, if you look at effort at rural housing, if you look at effort at even streamlining the budget of the government to meet its responsibility, there have been massive improvement in all of those areas. So I think the country, in terms of structural differences, in terms of making improvement into some basic fundamentals of the society, the country is definitely better off than what it was during the Ellen Johnson, Joseph Boakai 12 years.
Mr. Kone, how come this country is doing better, like you just said? And we're seeing protests, in many areas of government. We've seen nurses protesting, we've seen students protesting for salaries, many other agencies of government. How well is this well that you're talking about when Liberian citizens are registering what I consider as a disapproval of this administration?
Well, look, actually, when we say the country is making progress, or when we say there are changes taking place in the country, we don't say that to suggest that there is no problem in the country. Far be it. There are problems in the country. There are challenges in the country. Any country got their challenges. Even the great United States where we are has their own challenges that is ongoing. But again, you have to balance what is obtaining today than what it was. Some of the nurses you're talking about, these are people that were not even on government payroll. They were not even on government payroll during the Weah Ellen Johnson Sirleaf government, and now they had to be absorbed into to the pay structure under this regime. That called for additional strain of revenue. Uh, some of the teachers you're talking about, they were not even on government payroll. So the government taking a decision to place people that were more or less either with NGO funding or with NGO salary and putting these people on government payroll, uh, coupled with the fact that the government took a decision also to disengage from some of the activities that were being done in the past. All of these things create some friction. It creates it create an environment where other may be dissatisfied. Mind you, during the Ellen Johnson Joseph Weah government, the National Bank was being raided monthly to pay government salaries. That practice, according to our international partners, is very unhealthy to the economy. But the CDC government is no longer doing that. So all of these things create, demand on the resource pool, and there will be some discontent here and there. But that is not to suggest that our country is not moving forward. The country is indeed moving forward.
Well, I don't know how this country is moving forward because this is a government of change, Mr. Coonan. And 3 years into then the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration, we know salaries were very current for civil servants. I don't remember any protest action from any agency of government, on the issue of salary payments. But we've seen that in this administration, we've seen delayed, some agency being owed sometimes 12 months, sometimes 5 months. So if this government is the change government, and we are not seeing a change in terms of salary payments being current, is this the change that the Liberian people voted for? Is the CDC delivering that change on this issue?
First of all, let's stipulate that the salaries are current now. The salaries are current now. I mean, people are taking pay now. Salaries are
Mhm,
current. But
mhm,
let us go to the issue I was talking about. The comparison you're making, the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf Joseph Weah time. Again, salaries were being paid not because the government had the ability to pay. Our national bank was being raided. Donor accounts were being raided. You saw the Norwegian fund that we talk about. All of these areas were being raided just to pay salaries, and not small salaries too, but huge salary. All of those things undermine the macroeconomic development space of the country. So I'm saying the CDC government has stopped those practices because those practices are not healthy for economic development. There is no more borrowing from the central bank. What the government is doing now is to honor its payroll based on its own resources. So in that transition, there will be some tension. But the fact of the matter is the change that has occurred is that instead of the government being dependent on raiding our national bank to meet salaries, we are no longer doing that. That is a change. These are the benchmark to look at to say the country is moving in another direction.
Mr. Conan, you're talking about banks, especially the central bank, being almost like what the former administration was relying on, to fund the government. We also see this government borrowing from the central bank, borrowing from our reserve. Our understanding is that the reserve is even depleted by this government. That is something you can't deny. We also saw this government went into donors' accounts and took money. Samuel Tuer, the finance minister, is on record for describing it as a borrowing initiative. The then information minister, Lane Eugene Namwe, said, D-hole, cover hole. Is that the change?
But Sonny,
Mm.
you are basically making the point for the change I'm talking about.
Mm.
These were the negative practices of the Boyka Ellen government that
And we see
unfortunately.
those happening. That's
No,
what
they're
I'm
not
asking
happening
you.
right now. This is why I'm telling you there's no borrowing from the bank, there's no swapping of donor funds. All of those holes have been closed. So because those holes have been closed, there is tension on revenue. You're talking about people protesting. That's the change I'm talking about. That
But
right
did
now,
that happen at some time back in this government?
well, understandably so. I mean, if you're transitioning from one government to another government, some of the practices you inherit, maybe it will take some time for you to discover its impact. So, yes, it may have happened in this government, but the good thing is everyone recognized the negativity of that kind of practice. So those practices have been halted. They have no longer been done. There is no swapping of donor fund. There is no borrowing from central bank to meet payroll. There is no borrowing from central bank to meet uh, recurring expenditure of government, which has increased the obligation of the government to the central bank, and which, if you go further down, also undermine the economic health of the country. And that is the change that I'm presenting to you. That was used to be done, but we've now departed from that. We now departed from that. The government is on its own, generating its own revenues and trying to meet its own salary obligation. That is a significant change. That change may not be translated immediately to somebody walking up and down the street, but there are certain structural changes we will have to make in our country that will make the that will make prosperity come to our people. If we don't make these kind of structural changes, no matter how we preach, there will be no prosperity coming to our people. For example, if we don't change the whole mindset of how we approach infrastructure in our country, if we don't change the whole mindset as to how we approach development in our country, if we continue to restrict development to Monrovia, that everything that happens on Broad Street, once we have light and water on Broad Street, Liberia is okay. If we don't change those mindset, the prosperity not going to go to our people. And I'm telling you tonight, these are the the areas that George Weah is changing. When we talk about roads now, we're not talking about Monrovia roads. When we talk about electricity, we're not talking about electricity on Broad Street and Painsway. When we talk about rural housing, we're not talking about Stephen Tober Estate and Cabral Estate. We're talking about rural housing that are located around the country. And it is because of these reasons that I believe that the Liberian people seeing this level of development, even though there may be some sacrifices that they're making now, come 2023, they will see George Weah as the one that will continue this level of sustained development in the country and improve their lives.
Let's talk about accountability. It's a huge factor. You will agree with me from day one. And so when President Weah got elected, hopes were high. The fight against corruption. The Unity Party, many people can agree, was a disappointment. In the words of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, first she described it as enemy number one, and then she said it was a vampire. At some point, she took responsibility. So the change government then was coming to fight this devil in our government. How is President Weah and the CDC government doing in this fight?
Again, they are addressing the structural deficit that they inherited. For example, I mean, we all agree. I mean, corruption is synonymous to Liberia. Corruption has been in every era. Fighting corruption is a challenge, has been a national challenge. And frankly, our leaders and even Liberians themselves, they've given lip service to corruption. I mean, let's start with the people. Our people get a mindset that if you, as Sonny or me, were to have the opportunity to get into government and we don't appear glamorous, if we don't appear wealthy, then we are stupid. That is the mentality of our people. So we have to change the minds of people that, getting into government doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get rich. So that's another issue. But in terms of some of the infrastructure to fight corruption, they've been very fixed. Look, I always give this example. Can you imagine, Sonny, when the 9/11 tragedy hit America? After the 9/11, if America had decided to fight terrorism using the existing structure, America would not have succeeded. That's a very important point. The existing structure in America did not accommodate the kind of situation for them to fight terrorism. So what the American people did, they created an entire Department of Homeland Security. They created laws. They created different things that provided the tools for government to fight this evil called terrorism. You and myself now, we're taking out our belts. We're taking
Yeah,
out.
but Mr. Kune,
I'm,
why they
I'm,
were putting that in place, the state has some existing tools that they were using in the fight against terrorism. What is the CDC and this president doing now in this fight? Something that we can point to right now.
I'm
What are
coming.
they doing now? Why they are creating this tool that you are talking about that I don't know
And
about?
that's why I'm coming to. Right now, the CDC government has advanced a bill to the national legislature to give the Liberian Anti-Corruption Agency prosecutorial power so that when the LACC is coming after you, they don't need to have a presidential approval. They don't need to have a justice ministry approval so that they can have that liberty to prosecute cases of corruption in our country. That was not done. I
And
mean,
how does that change anything in the fight against corruption?
it
I mean,
expect
we have had institutions of similar nature, and they have been a two-flat bulldog because those individuals occupying those positions practically do nothing and succumb to the whim and caprices of the executive.
and this is why we're trying to take this function from under the whims and caprices of the executive, making it truly independent and giving it prosecutorial power that they can wield independently. So what it will do, it will expedite the prosecution of corruption cases. You need no prior approval from anybody. You have your legal team, you have the cases, and you can go to court. You don't need justice ministry concurrence. We saw that. That kind of buffoonery during the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf government time, where LAG was recommending people for prosecution, and justice ministry said no, we don't think the people should be prosecuted. So I'm telling again, this is a structural change. We're talking about change here. Sometimes in Liberia, when people talk about change, maybe we reduce it only to change in consumption.
Mr.
But
Kone,
there
Mr.
are
Kone, I know you're speaking, but here's the thing, Mr. Kone. The CDC, when it was in opposition, members of the CDC at the legislature helped to craft and even pass what became known as the Code of Conduct of 2014. For example, Akara Gray had a fingerprint on it and many other people supported it. Beautiful document that I read extensively and that I like. It is there. But the very president who you are telling me is up for the fight against corruption, he refused to declare his asset when that document says clearly an official of government should declare prior to taking office. He and nearly all his officials violated that particular piece of document. Looking at that, how will I want to believe anything that comes out of this government in terms of holding people accountable?
But what you fail to realize is that the document was destroyed during the Sirleaf administration.
I agree. That's why we
It
elected
was
the change
destroyed.
government to get it right.
So it's not going to be put together in overnight. It will take time to put it together. But mind you, and this is what I'm talking about the mindset. Okay, let me just concede to the point that the president didn't declare asset. The declaration of asset is not on the president alone. The declaration of asset is on every government functionary, the legislature, the judiciary, every. So you see, the enormity of our problems should not be minimized. I continue to argue on this show, Liberia problem is not presidential problem.
So the president set a good example because he's the head of state. He needed to set the example, just like Manabio did.
Mm.
All right. I'm not a fan of Darius Dillon. I'm very critical of him, but at least he did. You can talk about the politics of how well it was done, but at least he set that example by declaring before taking office. Why couldn't President Weah have done that?
Well, the president had declared as on so many. The president declared as when he was running for Senate, right? George Weah had declared as on so many occasions. He declared
Mm-hmm.
as that's how
So
many.
what changed when he became president, for which he refused, like almost 4 months into his presidency, before he did it in the middle of the night like a Nicodemus?
The president declared his asset. That I mean, let us be factually correct. The
Mm-hmm.
president asset has been declared. The president did declare his asset. In fact, the president is maybe perhaps the only few person that declare his asset. But again, it is the same law. The way the law is written, that when you declare your asset, in order the asset to be public, somebody got to go to court to publish it. So these are the structural things we're trying to get out of the way, so that this process can be automatic, so that it can be executed with uniformity, so that it can be an expected conduct. So if we don't do these structural designs, we're not going to get anywhere further in the fight against corruption. And this is the point. This is where the change is coming. And many people don't want to realize that, but this is where the change is coming, to change the entire outlook of the Liberia anti-corruption, to change that whole protocol of asset declaration, so that it becomes automatic. Look, I declare asset, but it's an automatic process. They send my form to me, and I got to declare asset. It's automatic. These things now, they shouldn't really be issue of debate. They shouldn't be. These are requirements that every public official should abide by. And sometimes when we put it under to the level of the president, then we minimize the whole discussion.
Mr. Kunin, leaders need to set example. And if President Weah had done this, we would not be having the conversation because, like you rightly said, in 2005 was declared made public. In 2011 was declared made public. Even when he was running to be a senator, I believe in 2014 he declared and make it public. Until when it came to the presidency,
He declared.
he started holding his hands, and he didn't even stop there. And he said, "I have my family to protect." And here's the thing. Let me ask this question: in our system of government, which branch of government is responsible for enforcing the laws in our country?
Oh, clearly the executive. But not
okay, so why has President Weah reneged on enforcing this particular law requiring any official of government from declaring, their asset before assuming office? Because when he spoke that time, he said, "Hey, I asked my people to declare. They have to do it." He gave an ultimatum. They never comply, and that was the end of it. So that's the fight against corruption. That is the low-hanging fruit, and he can't even pick it.
But Afzane, again,
yes,
the president declared according to the law. He declared according to the law.
In violation, right?
In
violation.
It's inaccurate to say that the president has not declared. He declared according to the law. And this is where, again, the responsibility of good governance in our country, in as much as support the president, in as much as I believe in his leadership, let us not make the issue of Liberia a one-man issue. You have civil society. You have different organizations that could have gone to court if that what the law say, to make the declaration of the president as a public. You have all that. People don't do this. Look, we need a whole of society approach to solve the problem of Liberia. I'm not minimizing leadership. Leadership is important in this endeavor. But again, we need the whole of society approach. The president declares his asset according to the law. The law says to make the asset public, you have to do this, you got to do that. There is nothing that stops anybody in Liberia from exercising that legal responsibility if they so want to see the president asset made public.
Mr. Kunle, President Weah started building mansions in no time. Was that a good example of a good leader?
Well, the thing you got to realize that President Weah is one of the wealthiest person ever to be elected president of Liberia. So people can talk about the perception, but no one has put forth any credible evidence that whatever houses the president built is a result of public corruption. No one put forward that question. The fact of the matter is, this was a millionaire that Liberian elected. Prior to President Weah building those houses, I'm not in President Weah's cycle. I support him, but I'm not in his cycle. I don't have much information about his wealth and other things, but the one that I saw from my level.
And where did you see that?
Huh?
Where did you see that? The one you saw?
In Monrovia, I mean, at my level, President Weah had 4 houses before he became president. I know of 4 houses in Monrovia that he had before he became president. He had a house to 9th Street. He had 2 houses to Weah. He had the Jamaican resort. Those were all properties the president owned before becoming president. I'm also aware that the president had a very luxurious mansion here in Florida. I'm aware of all of those things. So people can argue perception, but this was not a broke man that we elected. According to Forbes magazine, the president worth about $85 million. And you say somebody who worth $85 million should not build a couple of houses in Monrovia. I don't worth that much, but I build my own kitchen in Monrovia.
All right, Mr. Conan, let's leave it there. I don't think we're going to get some agreement there. You say he was a millionaire, as though no one had ever become rich and gotten broke. Let me progress. Let's come to the issue of President Weah re-election. I want us to see how he's doing so far, and then we can get to the issue of election. Because in order for him to be elected, he has to be doing a good job. And from what I've been hearing, there are so many complaining. There are so many issues. The issue of perception, which is huge in politics. The image of the country is another thing. Will you say Liberia image under this administration is better off compared to previous administration?
But let me ask the question. I will answer that question, but let me turn the issue around.
Do so.
Yeah, because the often cited international celebrity status Liberia enjoyed was during the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf government. Let me agree there. During Madame Sirleaf government, yeah, international doors were open to her. She made several trips. She and Omer Bakar, they were all over the place. She made several trips to the World Bank. She made several trips to the White House. She made several trips to the G20. She made several trips to the G7 or G8. She made several trips to China, Germany, all of the developed countries. They welcome her. They recapitulated her. My brother, the question Liberians are asking, what did the Republic of Liberia get from those trips? With all those trips, with all those international recognition, I'm telling you, we are still planting lepo in Monrovia. I'm telling you, we still don't have rules through our country. I'm telling you, our educational system was a mess underneath her. I'm telling you, students could not even pay wired school fee underneath her. I'm telling you, our people didn't even have electrification in the rural areas. So the question is, what did the international celebrity status of Madame Sirleaf brought to Liberia? Absolutely very negligible. And in terms of the country perception, Josh Weah has been well received everywhere he goes. This man, besides being president, is an international celebrity himself.
And are Liberian accruing any benefit from these few visits you're talking about that he's been well received, Mr. Kuni? Are Liberian accruing anything at all?
Yes, Liberia. I mean, the government continue to whether it is the African Development Bank, whether it is the economic forum in other countries, the government continue to receive support in the areas of road construction. Today, we're talking about government securing agreement for the Vanjima to Konya and Sanikweli to Lokatua, all of these highways. It is tough negotiation. And then when you talk about these things, the detractors of the president will say, "Oh, Madam Salif left those things there," as if to say Weah and Salif, they were in power for 1 year. They were not in power for 1 year. They were there for 12 years. They were there for 12 years. So the president continued to advocate for Liberians. The president continued to be received in the international community, with Liberia's status being very high. You saw the powerful address he gave at the United Nations. Many people were predicting that George Weah will go under the table at the UN. The president held his ground. He spoke. He spoke as a leader. He spoke in a way that the people at the United Nations understood him. And you continue to do that from place to place, advocating for better conditions in Liberia.
All right, let's look at some promises made. You know, if you keep your promises, people end up trusting you,
Mm.
maybe giving you another opportunity. So let's look at promises made. Let's look at policy pronouncement made, and where we are, so that if anything, people can think, okay, he said this is happening. Well, let's start with, we heard about Coastal Highway, but then later on we heard Mr. Tua say, well, it's dead, even though it was ratified, it didn't work. And another thing we heard about was a mineral swap. Liberians, some of the folks in the CDC were happy, talking about $1 billion mineral swap. It didn't materialize. We heard about Bali Island. We don't know where we are. We've heard so many promises. We heard about stadiums around the country. We heard about several thousand homes in West Point. West Point are going to be revamped. We've been hearing these promises, Mr. Kone. Are these promises being fulfilled, or will they be fulfilled?
I'm smiling because, Asani, it's so funny that many people that speak like this, or speak the way you speak sometimes, they tend to really minimize the level of underdevelopment our country has. And they think that everything that we miss in terms of development, we're going to have it in 3 years. No, we're not going to have it in 3 years. We are not going to have it in 3 years. There is a popular Liberian state mayor who said, and I quote him one time, that given the level of underdevelopment in our country, for Liberia to even reach our sister country in the sub-region, Liberia will have to be running and they got to be walking before we can catch up. It tells you the depth of underdevelopment in our country. And people minimize it. And people think that George Weah will transform this country in 3 years. That in 3 years, we're going to be like Norway. We're going to be like Sweden. We're going to be like Switzerland. No, we're not. The coastal highway thing you're talking about is not there. The government secure funding from the ECOWAS Bank for the coastal highway. They got one sector of the highway that will start from Grand Cru to Sino. The other part of the highway from the River Cesar to John Sino. These programs, the same people that claim that Ellen could not have implemented all the program in 12 years, and so because Georgia had to implement them, they are the ones saying now that Georgia should build coastal highway in 3 years, Georgia should build Bali Island in 3 years, Georgia should build stadium around the country in 3 years. Look, these are the thinking of elite. The ordinary people of Liberia that elected George Weah, they appreciate the magnitude of the issue that confront him. And because they understand the issue, and because they understand what the president is doing, this is why they would prefer him in 2023. All of the elite mentality, elite analysis, Facebook analysis of George Weah accomplishing all of these things in 3 years, when even your own Ellen Johnson could not accomplish that in 12 years, is ludicrous. It's ludicrous. I mean, it can't hold water. But
thank you.
to tell you, the coastal highway is on course. Most of the proper agenda developmental projects are on course. And this is why we believe that George Weah will be elected. Not even in the second round, but it will be in the first round.
Thank you. Well, folks in cyberspace, you're watching Focus on Liberia. I'm in conversation with Mr. Weah. Some people call him the CDC Pape. I don't know why. He is a chief political analyst here at Focus on Liberia. I'm Anthony C. hosting, and he's here to make the case for President George Manuel Weah re-election. He thinks President Weah deserves to be re-elected. I don't know, but that's what he thinks. What you think? Let's get to it. Mr. Kone,
Yeah.
let's talk about the issue of jobs. You know, President Weah got elected overwhelmingly by most of the young people in Liberia. If there's anything that is most needed by any young man of working age, that is a job. Joe Biden will remind us that a job is not just a paycheck that it gives you. It is the dignity that comes with it. Many young people are unemployed. The CDC Propo document said they were going to create about 1 million jobs in 6 years. They are halfway into the game. I had an opportunity to ask Akaros Gray. Gray told me he has no number to give me. This is an executive of the government. He's in the house to hold people accountable, and he has zero number to give me on a major pronouncement from the government policy document. It's the CDC meeting the needs of the young people in Liberia when it comes to job creation, Mr. Kone, for which President Weah should be re-elected.
Anthony, look, most of the things you say on job, I agree. Job is an issue of dignity. Job is an issue of pride. Everybody needs a job. The unemployment situation in our country is very serious. We're not going to minimize that. We're not going to hide that fact. It's one of the challenges that the country faces. The issue of youth unemployment is a very real problem. But this is what I have to tell you. You talk about the Propo document, the Propo vision. People will have to understand the cornerstone of the Propo vision. The Propo vision is based on, or let me put it this way, one of the pillars of the Propo vision is based on road construction. Because all of the things we're talking about youth unemployment, the sector of our country that still remain untouched is the agricultural sector. And there will be no meaningful investment in that agricultural sector if we don't build our roads. And this is where the effort of the government is, in building the roads. So I myself, I don't have numbers, but what we do believe is that when improvement is made in this road construction, and when we begin the green revolution, the agricultural sector comes online, we will make an impact in the unemployment situation that you're talking about. I affect all of us. It affect you, it affect me. I got brothers and sisters in Liberia that I employ. But more so, if you look at other economic activities that the government is engaging in, look at the mining agreement with Guinea that will begin the shipping of Guinean oil through the Lamco facilities to Bikena. These are all employment generating activities. The fact of the matter is, some of these things are capital intensive and they are slow on coming online. And then you go back to my argument. The same people who said 12 years were too short for Ellen to accomplish all of these things are the same people that are saying that, well, let Joey accomplish it in 3 years. Look, we're deep at the bottom of honor development in Africa. And it would take years. It would take years of very strong planning for us to get from that hole. And this is why the Liberian people are not going to change course in midstream. George Weah is already heading this effort. They're saying the effort he's making. They are not going to change him to go bring either a failed octogenarian that we all know failed. the King Kong of allowances that we all know, the person that has demonstrated no vision, and I'm talking about Joseph Yimambweka, the person that has demonstrated no vision his entire life. There is nothing you can talk about in Liberia that the Liberian people will associate with Bweka. Maybe the only association they can make of Bweka will be the 12 years of early corruption, or maybe the way sometimes they refer to him sarcastically as a sleepy old man. But besides that, it's no national endeavor. There is no national accomplishment that can be associated with the 42 years that this man served the country. He is a serial bureaucrat that take no position but transition from government to government, take pay, and now want to land at the presidency of Liberia. This is the kind of person the Liberian people see, and this is why they will reject him. And as for other folks in the CPP, look, they are all fine and decent people. But look,
Mr. Kune, we'll come to, President, we are against anybody in the CPP or against the CPP. Let's look at the issue of security. Please pull on your security hat here because you are a professional in this sector. When people are afraid for their lives, then they want change. In politics, when somebody is in power and there's insecurity in the land, then the people want to see somebody who might give them security. The deaths of auditors, three missing boys, no meaningful investigation to bring these deaths to logical conclusion. And sometimes while these deaths are going on, President Weah is dancing zombie. He's dancing lion. Is President Weah and his government serious about protecting the Liberian people by providing security for which he should be re-elected?
okay, I will answer that question, but again, let me go to the elite narrative that is being developed by President Weah and rejected by the ordinary people. When the president interacts with his people in a socially appropriate manner, either in the form of some kind of artistry or either in the form of swimming, the elite, they denigrate the people. They denigrate the people. They criticize the people, because the president is not acting like an elite. But what they fail to realize, that's the strength of the president. The president, the people, they have a natural bond. So if you see the president singing, the president is connecting with the ordinary Liberian people. And we really don't care if he's not connecting to a leader on Facebook. When you see the president swimming, the Liberian people see their president swimming in the same way they swim. That is a natural connection. When they see their president singing or beating the Tijajuru drum, that's how they connect. They see themselves in the
I'm
president.
saying to you, he does the while the nation grieves.
I told you I would reach there, but why you don't want me to create? Look, the president is a natural magnet. People are attracted to him, and he's attracted to the people. He's not an elite, so he engages in these things where he and his people meet. The president, I said on the show, the president bear ultimate responsibility for security in Liberia. That is the responsibility of government. It cannot be outsourced. It cannot be deferred to anybody. So to the extent of the buck stop with the chief, that's true. And look, the issue of security is one of the things I have. I believe that President Weah will be re-elected on the first ballot, but there are certain things that that needs to be done also. And I'm not saying he will sit down and the people electing. There are certain things we have to improve security. We have to improve security. We cannot, the situation that occurred in Maryland cannot continue. The situation that just we saw in Grand Gita cannot continue. We have to improve security. It's a concern for all of us. So I'm not going to politicize that. When people are dead for different reasons, we need credible investigation into those issues. And the relevant questions need to be answered to the extent that these things are not done is a cause for concern. And that's one of the issues. That's one of the things the CDC government need to address as we go to 2023. And I believe that they can address those issues. So, but it's not the way you're putting it that the president dancing, he doesn't care about people dying. The president cares about everybody. Whatever happened to that country, he cares. But at the same time, certain things have to be done.
Well, Mr. Conant, this question, and then we'll go to the election component of it. Stay on security here. What I see, I'll use the police as an example. When you see our police in the street, you pity them. And sometimes I wonder what is being set aside for these security personnel who should be providing security for citizens. Uniform fail completely. Do you think President Weah government is making the necessary investment in equipping our police to meet the challenge of providing security for our people?
Well, that is a serious question to actually explore. For example, I want to know what the legislature is budgeting for law enforcement in our country. But
maybe we should ask what President Weah is putting because the executive drafts the budget.
Yeah, but the legislature divided money. We shouldn't lose sight of that. The legislature divided money. The legislature gave their final approval to the money. The president may have his own idea as to what the budget should be, but let us not lose sight of the fact that it is the legislature. I mean, how do you call it? Even if you quote Darius Dillon, they are the one that cooked the soup. They only give it to the president to divide. So how are they giving they finish cooking the soup? In fact, he said they cook the soup, they divide it. They wouldn't give it to the president to give it to who's supposed to get it. So how are they dividing it? But let's take this for example. I mean, I'm here curious to know what is being allocated, let's say for a thing like gasoline for the Liberian National Police, when we have to give 2,000 gallons of gasoline to a member of the legislature or anyone in the executive for that matter. The question is, where are they driving? Where are they going? So may not being privy to how the budget is divided, but these are surface questions that we look at. One member of government get 2,000 gallons of gasoline. What is the police getting? So it go to the issue of logistics. Many times I try to talk logistics, you shut me down. It go to the issue of logistics. It go to the issue of training. It go to the issue of executive leadership. All of these factors contribute to a stable and orderly society that is maintained by law enforcement action. You see, I mean, I agree with you. See how the police dress in Monrovia. I was a member of the Liberian National Police. Police officers at the minimum had 3 suits. 3 suits for that. They had 3 suits, 2 pairs of shoes. 3 uniforms, 2 pairs of shoes. The majors, they had the white shirt, they had the blue shirt. And every day there were inspections to make sure that police officers were attired properly. So again, I'm talking about executive leadership. The president would not need a horse to go put the police on land to see whether everybody dressed the same way. I'm talking about executive leadership. I'm talking about training. I'm talking about logistics. All of these things are essential components to an efficient and effective security sector that can provide peace and security for the Liberian people.
Mr. Cooney, convince me here. Let's assume I feel that this government has failed me as an individual in the fight to implementing the TRC recommendation and also establishing a war and economic crime court. Let us also agree, for the sake of this discussion, that the CDC government has also failed me as an individual, and many Liberians, if I may add, on the issue of dual citizenship. Will I be wrong or will I be right, and why?
Okay, so let me take the issues one by one. You talk about the truth and reconciliation. I will ask you, if the CDC fail you, where will you go? You got nowhere to go. Because guess what? When you come to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, Asani, almost everywhere where there was civil conflict, I stand to be corrected. I've never seen a war crime court that is convened in our country. If a court is convened in our country,
you are dodging the question. I didn't ask you whether I should be in Liberia. I asked you, Mr. Kone. I'm saying, let's agree the CDC failed me on the establishment of war crime code and the implementation of the TRC recommendation.
I told you got nowhere to go because Joseph Baka sat down there and ain't no A. Ellen Johnson Sally ain't no A. When they had it, and I was I was laying the premise for the question.
All right, go ahead. Let me give you time.
You know, Ellen Johnson Sally and Joseph Baka, they had the mean, at least they had the minimum means to implement the TRC report. Why? Because Liberia was just out of conflict. The international community was present. We had about 30,000 United Nations troops, about 4,000 United Nations police. With that international component, the court could have been created and perpetrators of war crimes could have been dragged before the court. The point I was making before he called me up is that almost nowhere where a civil war has been fought and the government that emerges out of that civil war set up a war crime court. There was no war crime court set up in Rwanda. All of the people that were prosecuted for the Rwanda genocide, they were all prosecuted outside of Rwanda.
Some were prosecuted in Rwanda.
Take Yugoslavia. When the Balkan Wars ended, the court to prosecute the perpetrators of human rights was way in the Hague. Now, the only historical incident where I know a war crime court was set was in Nuremberg in Germany when the occupying powers were in Germany. Today, people are asking us to set up a war crime court in Liberia by ourselves. Among the parties that fought the war, some of them that are...
No, Mr. Conan, let me correct that. People are asking for war crime code. They're not asking that you should establish it in Liberia. And so even establishing it in Liberia, there is nothing that is wrong with it. If you want to do it, you can do it. Because in Sierra Leone, though the major code was somewhere else, but they have a version of the code in Sierra Leone that persecuted some of the criminals.
Under international supervision, under the United Nations.
So get us that.
This is why I said Joseph Boyka and Ellen Johnson Sirleaf needed to do that. Mm-hmm. We don't have that kind of infrastructure. Look, I want justice. I want people to be held accountable for.
Can this government at least ask for it? Because the Rwanda you're talking about, the Freetown you're talking about, there was an agreement by the leaders in charge of the country in conversation with the international body that this is what we want. Can this government want it? Can this government ask for it? How long is it going to take this government to just ask for it? Made a formal request to the United Nations. Can we get that?
Yes, the president has submitted that request to the national legislature. Mind you now, look, we're not a dictatorship. The president has submitted that request to the national legislature, dominated by CPP legislators, to advise as to how the country go forward. Have they responded to the president? No. People just want to make this thing a George Weah issue. The president, George Weah, has formally written the national legislature that on this issue of war crime code, I'm requesting your advice as to the direction of the country, where we will go as a nation. Don't quote me, quote Darius Dillon. The document is there.
Mr. Kone, President Weah and the CDC, I see what they're doing here. I see what they're doing here.
When the facts are provided,
you just said this thing has to be an arrangement in collaboration with the international community. Now, should you be right here that the president did submit a formal request to the House of Legislature? What about the international body that you have emphasized that we would need? Has the president made any formal request to them yet?
The legislature has not advised the president.
They don't need to advise him to do so, do they?
It's important. We're not in a dictatorship, Anthony.
No, the president, the government. Look, the president, Weah is the head of government. Mm-hmm. And Liberia, the last time I checked, is a member of the United Nations. So
Right.
President Weah made a request expressing his wish as
Yeah.
head of state. What's wrong with that?
Asani,
Hmm?
you can't have it both ways. You say President Weah is on record for calling for war crime code. Then you say he's not calling for it. So
With
you
late
can't.
service.
Huh?
Even President Weah, at some point, he said, I have not been calling for war crime code. You, the journalists, you people been calling for it.
Mm-hmm.
Those are his words. That was
Yeah.
when he has returned from the United Nations.
Uh-huh. So what's the issue? I don't see
He's
the problem.
flip-flopping and he's not showing leadership on this issue. He's just dressing the can down the road and he playing politics with it because he got Prince
No,
Johnson
no,
in
no, no,
his
no.
corner.
The
And that's
opposite.
where he's disappointing the Liberian people.
The
And there are
opposite.
many people that want the war crime code that have believed in him. And I'm saying to you, the way he's walking and quacking on this issue, there are people that will not vote for him. That's why he's in trouble here. Don't you see that?
Look. The president can establish 10 war crime code. The elite will not vote for him. So let us now go there. The fact of the matter is, we don't have the environment, we don't have the infrastructure for war crime code in Liberia. When civil wars are fought, war crime code are either established under international supervision or the perpetrators of that act are taken to other countries other than the country for them to be prosecuted. Those who are insisting that we should establish war crime code on Liberian soil, they do not want justice. They want instability. These are the same people that cannot even accept that a court for a prominent Liberian guilty of corruption. They can't accept it. They are raising money. They are organizing against that verdict. That are the same people that are telling us that we have the ability to set up a war crime code on our soil. That is a
Oh, all right,
prescription for
Mr. Kuhn,
instability.
let me further.
It's
Let's
not a
come to
call
the
for
issue
justice.
of, yeah, let come to the issue that the second issue was dual citizenship.
Oh,
The CDC government, I don't know, we can say to their credit, I don't know how serious the
you have
government
to say
was
it to
about
the
it.
credit, Sonny. Let me cut you off here because you got to say
Mhm,
it to the credit.
mhm.
George Manuel came out of the door screaming for the citizenship right of Liberians in the diaspora. He gave 5 paragraphs of his first speech on dual citizenship. He didn't stop there. He went to Parliament, addressed Parliament, and they crafted a bill. You know the history of the bill. Some of it we didn't agree with, but at least it was a first step in that direction. Champion a referendum. Who defeated the referendum? The very CPP people. So where you going? Your question is,
No, 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 no,
no,
Mr. Kuhn, I will hold you there. I will hold you there, Mr. Kuhn. Let me hold you there now.
I'm trying to answer
Let
you.
me hold you there. You told me to hold, and I was able to hold. So let me hold you there. To blame the opposition for the colossal failure of the referendum is the usual window dressing that we see here.
Because
This is a government that pretended to have been very intentional about dual citizenship, crafted, took our people to referendum in the midst of course that don't do this now. The time is not right. They still went, and what happened during the time of referendum? We didn't see this government campaigning for its own proposals.
that's not true.
What we saw, Mr. Kunin, was a billboard of the president. They did nothing to campaign for the proposal, and so that is how I feel. So you wanted the opposition. You know what they call opposition? They were not satisfied with it. They had to challenge it politically, but the government sat by and allowed this thing to die a natural death, thereby wasting the money. And
I
you
said,
think you're going to hold the opposition responsible for this?
that you can be so desperate to blame Joria for everything. Like sometimes I don't even know where your argument going. You say the government didn't promote the dual citizenship bill, but it's actually a billboard that the president used to promote it. You say the government didn't advocate for it, but there are a series of interviews by government officials promoting the referendum. The fact of the matter, let's go to your
With
question.
lip service.
Let's go to your question. You see, you dodging your own question because you know you get nowhere to go. That's why you dodging the question. You absolutely get nowhere to go. The question you ask is, since I didn't get dual citizenship under Georgia, where am I supposed to go? Nowhere. because the people who campaign against the dual citizenship are the alternative. The people who say the referendum should fail are the alternative. So you get nowhere to go. The only place you got to go is to
It is this government that promised the Liberian people dual citizenship and did not
stick with it.
deliver.
So when you go to the people that vote against
No,
it,
it's not about where I go. It is the
but
government.
that
It
was
is
the
the
basis
government
of
that
your
promised the war
question.
code and failed to deliver miserably.
That was the basis of your question. I'm answering your question. You said, Joria, don't give me this. Where would I go? I'm telling you, and this is why we think Joria will be elected. Because your own question he asked, Joria, they don't give me war code. Where would I go? You can't go to Joseph Boyka because Joseph Boyka was there 2 years. He didn't give it to you. At least Joria tried. You said Joria didn't give me dual citizenship. You can't go to Joseph Boyka. Joseph Boyka was there for 12 years. Darrell Dillon there, they all campaign
So
against
are
it.
you saying we can hold the opposition responsible for the failure of
Oh,
the
they
dual
campaign
citizenship
against it, of
proposal?
course. They campaign against it.
So the opposition defeated the government on the proposition for
Exactly.
dual citizenship.
Yeah, they did.
Are you sure they defeated the government?
Yeah, they campaign against it. What defeated, so they defeated the government.
So the opposition won.
Oh.
All right,
Yes,
let's come to election.
yes, they
Let's
won.
come to election
No, no.
2023.
The opposition won by denying the citizenship right of natural born Liberians. They won on that issue. And so, since they don't want us to have that citizenship, Sonny, you and thousands of other Liberians got nowhere to go but to continue with George Weah, who started that battle.
No. We some of us has somewhere to go. Maybe you don't have
you
anywhere to go.
Election is a binary choice. Either you vote for George Weah, you vote for the CPP.
Let's come to election, Mr. Kunin. Let's come to the final section here. Let's come to elections. 2023 is coming. It's coming so fast. I asked you one question 3 times, and you said yes. The opposition defeated the government in the fight for dual citizenship.
They deny our citizenship right, so we'll vote against them.
So, if the opposition can defeat the government 3 years into power on referendum, is that a strong sign that President Weah will not win re-election? If your answer is no, why?
No. I mean, first of all, look, I'm sorry, you are a data man. I'm a data man. Look at the result of the by-election. Look at the number of people that voted, the percentage of the voters. You know, Monserrato County have about 500,000 registered voters. I think the senatorial race, you have maybe 150 to maybe 200,000 person that voted. Maybe I stand corrected. You have 300,000 other people that stay out the election. So the fact that you win a midterm election doesn't in any way suggest your chances in a general election. And mind you, we're talking about George Manning. We are on the ticket. This guy is a magnet. This guy is a blessed child. We're talking about the king himself. I'm saying king using his football name. I don't say king to me before some other people say, oh, you call a man king.
Well, somebody called him benevolent dictator, so I thought that's where you were going.
No, but George Manning Weah himself will be on the ballot. And those who bury themselves in that midterm election, we encourage them to do so. Because they will be sleeping when the country giant passed by them again. The Liberian people will be seeing the country giant as a continuation of his efforts to do some of these things you're talking about, dual citizenship, continue the road construction and everything. And you see, this is why I said that I want to encourage the president, I want to encourage the CDC to not play the opposition game. The opposition has already considered that they can't win George. We are in the first round. I mean, you say this man is so terrible. You can't even beat him in the first round. They are waiting for George Weah in the second round. But we're not playing that game. Let George Weah play a different game. You can't plan the same way the opposition is planning. The CDC can plan for a first round victory, which they can win. Because the data that is in the midterm election is so insufficient, it doesn't even indicate any political strength for the
Mis-
opposition.
Mr. Kuning, let's talk the data you're talking about, and let's talk the dynamics.
Mhm.
Now let's take a look at the dynamics historically.
Yeah.
In 2005, President Weah was the most popular candidate. He has no political minuses at the time. He was so loyal, he was so favored. He has no political stain on his name in any shape or form. Quote unquote, we will agree that he was a clean candidate. Liberian people could not hold him responsible on anything when it comes to government. He would not win first round victory. He will be defeated. He will come back in 2011 with quote unquote a United Nations professional, Winston Tottenham. He has some help. He will fall short for the second time. The third time, it has to take two powerful women in the country to give this damn powerful man who could not win, this popular man who could not win when he was new on the block, when he was the favorite. It had to take two powerful women, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf in 2017, Joel Howard Taylor in 2017. It had to take three political parties to be added to that for him to win. Talking about the dynamics and the numbers, few years later, he raised John J. Weah hand. He failed. He raised Paulita Weah hand. It didn't work. He raised Tomon Fala hand. He even pumped 3 million about that money the CDC government spent. They came very short. Talking about referendum, he was on a bare bowl. Referendum came flat. Mr. Koenig, let's look at the numbers and the dynamics. They have changed significantly. How will President Weah win this first round victory you are talking about? Give me the dynamics, give me the numbers, and put on your strategy because I don't see the path. Tell me.
I'm laughing because when you parroted at the elite narrative,
I'm not an elite, so stop pivoting
I'm
with
not
this
saying you
your
are.
elite thing here.
I'm not saying you are saying you are parroting the elite narrative. That's how the elite see this, how the elite see this fight. Look, President, we are going to win a first round victory again because of the ongoing uh, development programs that are taking place in the country, but more so also because of the very flawed opposition that will be lining up against him. The Liberian people will make a choice. Do we carry President Weah, who is building roads, who is giving us rural electrification, who is expanding highways, who is providing tuition-free education, or do we go to Joseph Yuma Boyka, who was packed for 12 years and collecting all the allowances? You know, election is about choice. It's not about how people feel. Joseph Boyka sat there for 12 years, collect all the allowances, and he's fooling the Liberian people, say he's living on loan. But you have not asked him as to where bank gave him that loan, what income he's using to pay the loan, what is the terms and conditions of the loan, who gave loan to somebody who not working. You know, these people think that the elite think they can fool us all the time. Or Joshua may not face Boyka. He may face Mr. Cummings, who I really respect. But guess what? The Liberian people will see Mr. Cummings being sold to them again the way they sold Madame Sirleaf. Madame Sirleaf was this United Nations expert, good in governance, democratic activist, and they elected her, and they know what they got from it. So Mr. Cummings, the same way they promoted him, he's a corporate leader, he this and that. The question the Liberian people would be asking themselves, when this country was in darkness, when Liberia was in darkness, where was Mr. Cummings? The Liberian people knew where Georgia was. You minimize that. The Liberian people knew where Georgia was when darkness befell the whole country. Everybody in Liberia knew where George Weah was. He didn't hide behind the privileges and his celebrity status to live in comfort in Europe. He continued to go to Liberia again and again. Don't take my word for it. Ask Denzel Washington. But where was this accomplished corporate guy who loved Liberia so much? Where was he when that dark cloud hung over Liberia? That is the choice that the Liberian people will be making.
And
The children that live in the refugee camps that Jovial visited, they are adults now. They are telling their children who stood by them when that dark cloud fell over Liberia. I'm not minimizing the fact that there will be other people that will vote against him. Now he has record. So other people will vote against his record. That's fair. But I'm saying, on balance, on scale, the Liberian people know where Jovial is. And it is that strength. It is that strength that will make him to win a first round victory. Because there is dislocation in the CCP. They got no credible alternative. They're fighting among themselves. They want to kill one another politically. And so the Liberian people are not going to go there.
first round victory. How many elections we've had now since the war? 3. No one has been able, even parties that came together, have not been able to win first round. So I know that one there is a stretch for for first round. Let me learn. And I have to remind you that President Weah, you are right. You know, he was somewhere, at least, playing football, as we were made to believe. And so, for the sake of your argument, he was visible, right? During the dark days. And so he was known. But then he could not win first round the first time when he didn't have any issues, right? And second time he didn't win still. And now that he has issue and he said first round, we'll call it when we have not had a first round victory in early elections in the past 3 elections. And here's the thing, the plus and political capital that Joel Taylor had, she does not have it. The political capital that President Weah had, he does not have it. It has diminished significantly because of the political packages that he has picked up along the way. So to think of a first round victory, that is a stretch, Mr. Kunin. But here's my question to that. How is President Weah defeat a unified CPP ticket, should that become the case, when the CDC could not defeat a unified CPP ticket in Monserrado County, which having to be their clean stronghold? How would they do it nationwide?
Well, Asuni,
is that available for you?
It's no billable. I'm just, sometimes it amazes me the extent to which you go sometimes on this. Look, the first round victory.
I have to give you the literature.
The first round victory of George Weah is not in question. First of all, you assume CPP going to be unified. They will not be unified. It will be unified. It will be a fractured unity. Fractured unity. Reluctant unity. But assuming that they were enthusiastic, assuming that they were happy in unity, they still don't have the leadership that the country will provide. They got 3 leaders. It is Yuma Bakai, the octogenarian and serial bureaucrat. It is the unknown Alexander Cummings. It is the child soldier recruiter Benina Ure. All of those people, they pale in comparison to what George Weah is. They pale in comparison to what this man is. This man is an icon for a good number of Liberians. So this is what, you're talking about Joe Howard Taylor don't have what she used to have, Joe Weah don't have. Where Weah got? Weah get where he used to get. Weah to zero. Weah is to zero. Coming is unknown. We got an international arm dealer already on international ban. These are not, when it comes to making binary choice, these are not the people that the Liberian people would prefer. Uh, in addition to the government continue to do what they're doing, carry on development. There are some recommendations. Again, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the government going to fold their hand in first round victory camp. I'm just saying if they continue on the trajectory where they are and they do some of these things, improve the security condition in the country, ensure that civil servants get their pay on time, uh, uh, and continue with their road construction, there will be no match. That's the point I'm making. And the first round victory is not far-fetched. You see, some of us, we see politics as the battlefield. And sometimes you got to think beyond logic because that's how you win battle, Sonny. You have to think beyond logic. You have to do some things that your opponent believe are not reasonable for you to do. Before I learn, let me give you a little story. If there's a brief story of World War II.
Yeah, please be very brief.
When the Allies were going to Europe, mainland Europe, to drive the Germans, the shortest point between mainland Europe and England is what they call the Strait of Dover, Pas de Calais. And the Germans thought that would be the point that the Allies would cross. But no, they didn't cross there. And this is the mentality I want the president and the citizens to have. They chose Normandy, which seemed impossible. To the opposition, it seemed impossible for George Weah to win first round. I'm saying don't plan your winning strategy on what they're planning to go second round. Plan it, do the impossible, defy logic. You will beat them in the first round, or if you don't get a first round victory, you will give them a demoralizing defeat in the first round. To
All
the
right.
point where they not even recuperate. That is the message I'm giving.
Thank you so very much. That one was a stretch. I'm not taking that one. I don't see how he holds water. Focus on Liberia. Anthony C. hosting late night edition of Hour of Politics. I have with me Mr. Wilmon Cooney. Mr. Cooney is an analyst here. He analyzes things here based on the way he sees it. And I was looking at the comments, somebody said, but then if the man is analyzing in the way he does, then he's not supposed to be here. People analyze in the way they see it. And we have to respect them, even if we disagree. Let's come to some comments here, Mr. Coonan, so that we can grab some water. I see you preaching this first round victory. I'm not buying that one. Let's hear from Anthony Rogers. Wow, Mr. Coonan, long time, Pape. The CDC, Pape, yeah, he preaching political hallelujah here that the church can't even say amen to. Roger again. It was because you and I subscribed to Focus on Liberia, but since you left, I've left as well. Welcome back. Oh man, all the person said they have left. Mr. Kuni had not left. He has been here. He was visit. Let's hear from Pauline Colley Kagan. Wow. I don't know why you're saying wow to. Tell us. Roger again. Salary is current now since 1 year. Okay. So the government going to celebrate about that? Celebrate
Yeah.
because you're making are the people not supposed to take pay anyway? The government is a doom, and that is from Exeter Connor. Then you have from Jennington Kaba. Speak, Mr. Patriot. Who is the Patriot? Mr. Cooney or Anthony C? Let us know. Mr. Spose, why was our time on this program today by bringing why are you wasting our time on this program by bringing someone who just having number in his age but lack common sense? You can't say that. Fellow Liberians, let us be respectful. Let us be respectful, please. Waste to your family, Mr. Guest. Let us be respectful here. I'm not going to read these kind of comments. Liberians, let us be respectful. Let disagree fiercely so too, but with respect. Earlier from Agatha here, was there any system put forth for the current government to continue with when the past government never owned any employee? There was a lot of NGO in the country, so the past government never faced much challenges. Mr. Host, let us leave this rice issue that is one of the reasons why our country not developed up to now. Who was talking about rice? Did I say anything about rice? Let's hear from Gibson here. Mr. Comey complained about corruption and has admitted that it is a serious problem in the country and is very difficult to fight. What is the current government doing to bring war and economic crimes code in Liberia? I recently learned that the president can write directly to the UN to get the code established in Liberia. Yeah, the president can make a request, but Mr. Cooney is trying to intellectualize the issue. You got to go to legislature and all that. Let's hear from Warwood. I hope I got it right there. Liberia has all the laws. The problem is law enforcement. Application of the laws are the issue. So-called government officials have their terms on the law. Corruption is fighting the Liberian government. Let's hear from Jennington here. Hey, I mean, my man, three separate and equal branches of government. There's no one is more important or powerful than the other. So why not hold the others responsible than the executive? No, he's here to make a case for the president re-election. So that is why I am pushing him. That even that thing equal branches is not equal in practice. It's equal on paper. We know that. Sekou Keller here, right? He declared asset, but it was in public. That is what I'm saying. And he declared in violation. He declared 3 months into office, which is a violation of the law. Let's hear from Masale when President Weah declared his assets when he was running for senator. His assets only show 50,000 US dollar. Somebody is making a case there that President Weah didn't have that much money, even though Mr. Collins said he had more money. Let's hear from native Liberian. We will stand up to make sure to support President Weah's second term. We only have job when infrastructure is expanded. That person right. Let's hear from William Davis Jr. In 1 month, he created more than 2,000 jobs in the health sector. Wow. Mr. Cooney, you didn't have some numbers, somebody giving us number. I don't know how true or accurate that figure is. Let's hear from this gentleman. William Arrow Tubman ruled Liberia for nearly 30 years with nothing to show. He was busy smoking cigar and sleeping with little girls. It was during his regime that Liberia should have developed with a population of less than 3 million people and plenty of money. Thomas smoked out development funds. Well, that time has since passed. We have a country giant that is not dancing like a country giant, and he's not getting things done here. Cecilia writes, the international organizations are ready and willing to foot the bill, provide security, etc., as it relates to the war and economic crime code. Ellen Johnson said he could not have brought a case upon herself. Remember, she spearheaded the war. CDC government can dance around this all they want. War crime code will come to Liberia, be it before 2023 or after 2023. That's why I advocated as a member of the CDC. I am disappointed. That is a sedition making a case for somebody who is not a sedition, but support the CDC government is sounding louder than the people is crying more than the bereaved. Let's hear from Thomas here. The TRC document was crafted in the interest of the perpetrators to protect them and was fraudulent. I disagree. That document, I read it. Go and read it again. All right. Let's hear from Cecilia Kpo. It was the Bukos dual citizenship presented to the people that defeated itself. Who in their right mind will vote yes to such a mess? Is that a fair referendum? You have a good point there with the restrictions and all that, but at least I will not have to use two passports. I will not have to apply for a visa before I go to Liberia. At least we have gotten somewhere. Let's hear from Lawrence here. Trust me, come 2023, President Weah will be our opposition face down. if you think that senatorial election is a measure for President Weah defeat in 2023, you are a joker. President Weah remains the most popular Liberian of the most popular politician in Liberia. Go accurate. Well, Mr. Kuning, a few comments. Of course, the people are divided, some in your favor or in the president corner.
Most in my favor. Now some most in my
You can
favor.
dance, you can dance any way you want, but I'm not dancing to this one. Go ahead, respond to our viewers' comments. They stay with us here. We want to appreciate them. Go ahead, sir.
Well, first of all, I want to appreciate the viewers. I want to, thank them very much for the feedback. It is the feedback they give us that make us better. We thank those who agree with us, and we thank those who disagree with us. But this is the essence of what we do here on Focus on Liberia. We don't have unanimity of views. We all come from different backgrounds, and we all think differently. But to those who agree with me that the president should be elected, I really want to thank you for that. And those who don't believe that you can be re-elected, well, it's also your democratic right. But certainly, if you sample the views, it's just some of the things I'm talking here. Election is not about maybe how we feel. Election is the choice that faces us. And this is why I think if the choice is between George Weah and anybody in that CPP something, the Liberian people, they've decided. They know the challenges, they know the pit, they know the hole this country was in when George Weah took it over, and they are measuring him by the gradual improvement he's making. And I don't think they are prepared to put a halt to that, to bring in somebody new, either a failed octogenarian or a new fight to the Liberian political scene, someone who inarguably was very wealthy, had climbed the corporate ladder, but they didn't know Liberia when the dark days were upon Liberia. The Liberian people will make a choice on that.
And finally, Mr. Kuning, made your final case for President Weah, who you support, why you think, again, President Weah deserves re-election, and why you think President Weah can beat any member of the CPP or a unified ticket of the CPP with heavyweight in the minds of the opposition, like Ambassador Vice President Joseph Imambuaka and Mr. Alexander Belande Cummings. People say he has deep pockets, so he can fit the campaign bills. If they put it together a ticket, how can President Weah, who have not been able to win a first round victory, and manage to get one on the third trial after getting so much help from Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, the political Warren Boto of Liberia? I don't think Weah is getting that help this time. How is he going to do it? Your final page, sir.
Yeah, my final page. Let me just start with this. It will actually be a political malfeasance, seriously, for Mr. Alexander Cummings to take on the political baggage of Joseph Imambuaka. As much as I have problem with Mr. Cummings, I think if I were him, I would prefer to stand alone and try my own luck with the little scant record I have than to take on that corruption trailer of Joseph Imambuaka to put it on his back, either as a running mate or in whatever capacity. I just wanted to make that point. But as I've said here repeatedly on this show, our country was in a very dark place. Our country was in a very deep hole. It's in a deep hole in terms of development. George Weah came to power with a lot of challenges. George Weah came to power when running water now was not even going to Monrovia itself. There was no electricity in the country, generators booming all around the place. And we see the effort he's making at providing electricity not only in Monrovia, but electricity throughout the country. The country is suffering a lot of housing issues. I mean, Asani, you look, from 1847, the country public housing, I guess 2,000 units they built, the whole Republic of Liberia. And here is the president going around building about 100 units in each county. At the rate the president is going, by the time his term expires, he will build more housing, affordable housing units, more than all Liberian presidents combined. We see the effort the president is making in road construction, the expansion of the EAWA road. We've seen the expansion of the RIA rule. We've seen all of the agreements that have been concluded. The local tour, San Kole rule, whether it is the road in Grand Cru or it is in Grand Jide, or whether it is the road in Riverside, or whether there are roads in Bong to Lofa. All of these efforts are being made. The Liberian people are saying that. The Liberian people have seen the president's effort in promoting education, whether be it the payment of wire fee, whether be it computerizing the functions of the University of Liberia, or whether be it providing tuition-free education for all of the public colleges in Liberia. These are all significant steps that the president is making to bring change in our country. And if you put all these accomplishments, all of these things that the president has so achieved in 3 years, and plus what he will achieve by the time we get to 2023, if you put these things against the opposition of the failed octogenarian, perpetual bureaucrat, serial bureaucrat moving from one government to the another government, Joseph Yima Bweka, or if you put him against the child recruiter, the man who is on perpetual UN ban for armed trafficking, Benana Ure, or if you put him against the neophyte, Alexander Cummings, the Liberian people are very clear where they will stand. And this is why I think they will elect Judge Weah. My only the recommendation I want to make, and which I really want to close on, is that the CDC or President Weah should not play on the political turf of the CCP to go wait for a second round. No, we shouldn't wait for them in the second round. Let's beat them in the first round to their own shock and surprise. Let's beat them, and they will be beaten in the first round. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cooney. And folks in cyberspace, we are about to close here, but I have something to share with you. I have something to close with, and I think you're going to like it. But before I do, let me share with you, Focus on Liberia. Our programs here are being aired on the radio in Liberia. We are live on the radio. Focus on Liberia is relaying on Heart FN 107.9. There you have the schedule. Wednesday, if you are in the US, that's 7 a.m. Eastern Time. Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And then Friday, 7 a.m. Eastern Time. In Liberia, that is Wednesday, 11 a.m. GMT, Thursday, 5 p.m. GMT, and Friday at 11 a.m. GMT in Liberia. Also, on Monday, I will be interviewing a presidential candidate, or presidential hopeful, I should say, for 2023. The gentleman name is Dr. Tefo Ammons. He will be my guest here on the Hour of Politics Monday at 12 noon Eastern Time. He will be here. The road to 2023 has begun. The field will get crowded. He is new on the block, and he's telling us he has the manjawine to make it happen. Well, folks, this is what I have for you to close. Mr. Cooney came and he made a case. Whichever candidate you support, if you want to come and make your candidate's case here, reach to us here at Focus on Liberia. I will have you. I will ask my questions and you will make your case. And at the end of the day, the Liberian people will decide. That's the beauty. That's what I love politics, folks. You can make all the noise. You can give all the sweet talk. You can balloon your candidate or resume. You can say all that. You can tell, oh, he's a giant, he's a king. At the end of the day, he will either get punished, be shamed, and go home. We've seen it. You remember the guy Thomas Fala? Oh, you forgot Vani Shema. That's the beauty of democracy. The people will decide, irrespective of what any surrogate will come here and propagate. That is the beauty of democracy. But if the people get it wrong, they pay the price. And sometimes that price can be heavier. But the democracy must flow. Be it in your favor or not, let us always wait for election. Let's put forth the best candidates. Let us critique the candidates. Let them give us plans. As I see right now, I don't see a plan. Mr. Cooney just made his case. I want to see his candidate plan. I want to see any candidate's plan. I want to see, go to josephimambwaka.com to read. I want to go to elliscummings.com and read. I want to go to georgeweah.com and win. And read. Any candidate for that matter, I want to go to your .com. We are in the 21st century. Liberia and Liberians cannot be behind. Give us the real deal candidates Give us a political competition, something participatory. I don't like that word benevolent dictator. I don't like it. Whoever said that, that is not democracy, but we want democracy, you should give it to us. Folks, this is how we'll draw down the curtains here. I focus on Liberia, and usually we don't leave until we gave you this song, and that song says we are all Liberians. Whether you support Weah, you support communists, whoever your candidate is, you are a Liberian. Whoever you choose, come 2023, if it goes by for everybody. So, as you think wisely, and show some love to Liberia. Bye-bye, folks.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our